Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Arman Sports Report, live from Sport Beach. And today I am joined by a true pioneer in fan-led media, Robbie Lyle, founder and CEO of Global Fan Network, the digital powerhouse behind AFTV and DR Sports. And from humble beginnings with a borrowed camera to building on one of the most influential fan-first platforms, Robbie has redefined how sports stories are told. Welcome to the Arman Sports Report from Sport Beach. Robbie, how are you, and what brings you to Sport Beach today?
I'm good. It's been wonderful coming to Sport Beach. The reasons why I came is I remember last year I was set to come to Cannes because a lot of people recommended it. And in the end, I couldn't make it because the Euros are on. And then when England eventually got to the final, I ended up losing. I regretted it. I should have just went there anyway, you know what I mean? But yeah, I couldn't make it last year because of the Euros. But I wanted to come here. I wanted to connect with as many people to do sports as possible, especially with the World Cup coming up next year. We'll be out there. We'll be doing a lot of content out there. We have at the last 2 World Cups. So I want to see if I could connect with companies, with brands, ahead of that World Cup especially.
Absolutely, and there's been multiple conversation, I know, across panels and roundtables on the World Cup, but where I want to start with you is Sport Beach is all about the connection and intersection between sports, culture, entertainment, technology, and that's really very close alignment to what you've built with the Global Fan Network. So tell us a little bit about Global Fan Network, what it is, and how you've scaled this business, and maybe any turning points that you had along the way.
Yeah, I mean, basically, with AFTV was the original platform, and that was just started from very humble beginnings. You know, we, like you said right at the start, we borrowed a microphone, borrowed a camera, and just started interviewing fans outside. My team's Arsenal. That's the team I followed all my life, and I just used to get really frustrated that you never heard from the fans. I was like, never. Even when you had shows on TV, the fans would just be in the background like mannequins with their kits on, just like making up the numbers. And I knew as a fan that, we love to talk about football. We love to engage about it. So that's why I started that up. And then with the success that we had with Arsenal Fan TV, I was like, well, we could replicate this for other teams, because along the way I was meeting so many different influencers and creators of other football clubs, right? So that's why I decided, let's do get this Global Fan Network together. Let's bring together all the best influencers of various different football clubs, and and create content together and grow the business that way, and not just in the UK but around the world.
Well, congrats, and you've certainly been doing a lot right. I think somewhere in the range of 8.5 million subscribers, and when you look at that, that's just one number, I'm sure, in a lot of the metrics that you track. And when we say metrics, we're often, the ears perk up with the marketers like myself from Allison Sports, and I lead our sports practice, and often our clients are asking, what is the return on investment? How do I show the value of the work that our teams are doing? So I'd love to hear from you a little bit, Robbie, about your work with brands. Certainly, I know there are a lot of brands in your stable, partnerships that you drive. Talk to me about what makes a brand partner and what you bring to the table from the media side.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing we bring, and I always like to talk about this more than, I think the amount of followers you have and stuff like that is like a vanity thing. Because you can have a lot of followers, but it's whether your audience is engaged. And I think what we've got, which is really special, is we have a highly engaged audience. And that is what I always talk to brands about. I go, we have an audience that is very, very engaged. We talk to them every single day. So if you've got something that you're trying to sell, or you've got something that, your promotion that you're trying to get out there, we're talking to our audience every day. So, if we can align, we can get your message across. And it's as simple as that. I really do keep it as simple as that. And how I like to work with brands is like in a partnership. I like to advise them on how the best sort of, ways to interact with our audience. Because again, we speak to them every day, so we kind of know a lot about them. But I think if we're able to align with brands, we can really do well for them. Because the audience is so engaged. They just lap up the content that we make. So it's as simple as that for me. It's about keeping it simple.
Absolutely, and I was going to ask you for your elevator pitch to any of the brands you may be listening out there, but I think you just did a pretty darn good job of doing that. One interesting thing that we were talking about before we jumped on here was the makeup of your audience. You were telling me about the makeup of the number of North American audience that you have in your platforms, and I was surprised by that. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the biggest part of our audience, of course, is the UK, because it's Premier League football on the whole. So, but then the next biggest audience is the US, North America. So like, US, Canada, is huge. And, I go out over to America a lot. And, I've heard a lot of people saying things like, will football have a lasting legacy in the States after the World Cup? I think it's already growing massively. The Premier League certainly is huge over there. And I was over in LA and Philadelphia last year for the Arsenal games. All of them were packed out, as they always are, every time I go to the States. And when you speak to fans there, I mean, these are not people that don't know the game. They know it inside out.
They're passionate.
They're very passionate. The real strange thing about it sometimes is that they actually watch more football than a lot of fans in the UK. And the reason why I say that, live football, because you guys in the States, you can get every single game live. Every game.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great
but
point.
in the UK, you can't. So let's say, for instance, if you follow Arsenal, if you're lucky enough like me, where I've got a season ticket and I go to every single game, I see every game, right? But if you're not a season ticket holder who goes to every game, you can only see live what the TV companies show you. So, Arsenal are not on live every single week. They're probably be on live 2-3 times a month.
Wow.
And they share it around. And so you're watching highlights. So actually fans sometimes in the States are actually watching more of the games. They're able to watch the full 90 minutes. So their analysis of games is really spot on because they've watched the whole thing. Jeez. So a lot of people don't realize that. But these fans over in the States and many other places around the world are really, really knowledgeable and engaged in football. And that's why I think it's growing so fast.
Yeah, and I mean, I read a stat the other day that said, only 27% of Americans consider themselves soccer fans. But if you actually look at that percentage in quantity, that's over 63 million fans. That's a pretty darn large audience when you think about it. That again is highly engaged and active and willing to participate. So let's stay on 2026 World Cup and let's wrap up there. Biggest ever World Cup. First time it's ever being held in 3 countries. The first time it's being held in Canada, just the second time it's being held in the U.S., where I want to start. Back in '94, the World Cup in North America, I think, had such a massive impact on the global sports ecosystem. It was specifically in the United States. The MLS came out of that. Do you think there's potential for another big moment in 2026 and something else to follow?
Yeah, I really do think that will be the case because I think when I'm old enough to remember '94, a lot of the talk from, say, the UK was, why are they getting it? Because they don't even play football, they don't know nothing about it. Why are the US getting it? It's just a commercial play. And nobody's saying that this time around. No one's saying why the States getting it. They're like, oh, I'd love to go there. It's going to be a great destination to do it. They know how to do football. They've got a good side. So that alone shows you the progress that was made after '94, that now the US is recognized as a place to go and play football. It's not like, we're going to a territory that don't even play football. So what's going to be the next stage? I really do think, it's going to elevate it. It's going to take it to the next level. As I said, I already feel that there really is a big engaged audience over there. This may swing some of the people that are sort of with some of the other sports to sort of come over to football as well. So, but I really do think it's going to be a big moment. It's going to be a different World Cup I was at Qatar. I was at all the games loads of games in Qatar, and you could watch 3 games in a day over there. You ain't going to be able to do that with this one. It's spread out right across the US, Mexico, Canada. But I'm really looking forward to it. And I think we all know that in the States, they do sporting events really, really well. So it's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. All right, final wrap question. 1, does the United States have a chance to win the World Cup? And 2, who is your prediction to win the World Cup?
Well, you know, I'm going to be pretty biased there because I'm an Arsenal fan and they got Pochettino in charge. He used to our deadly
it's kind
rivals,
of an unfair advantage.
Our deadly rivals, Tottenham. So I think you've got no chance after employing. But listen, I don't think the US will win it. I think, listen, it's very difficult to win. I follow England to World Cups and it's hard. It's really, really hard. My favourites for it, I think I'm probably going to make France the favourites again. You know, they got to the final last time. And if it weren't for a Messi masterclass, I was at that final, maybe they would have won it. They've still got Mbappe, and then they've got these young players coming up. You see them the other day playing for PSG, the Bacolas and, you know, Doué, and, you know, these guys are really, really talented players. I think they've got the best talent pool of players in the world. So for me, I'd make France the favourites. Hopefully, I'd love England to win it. We've got the talent. It's just whether we can get it together for that final. But it's got to be France for me. Argentina will be there, but Messi's going to be a little bit older now. So, but I just feel, I think actually you've got to give a shout to some of the South American teams because they're going to have a lot of support in the States. So they'll do well. But I just got a feeling France. They got so much talent.
Well, we're here in France. We're just about a year out from the 2026 World Cup. Thank you so much for tuning into the Arman Sports Report, Robbie. Thank you so much. I'm Shane Arman, head of sports at Allison Worldwide, and look forward to catching up with you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.